You are listening to the Brand Architect Podcast, and this is your host, Ani Alexander.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Brand Architect Podcast. It's me, Annie Alexander, and as always, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you are one of the loyal listeners and you're coming back, I truly appreciate every single one of you. I really love the fact that we managed to create the relationship and meet once a week, every single week. If you're tuning in just by accident or by referral, and this is the first time you're listening to me, thank you so much. You are welcome. And hopefully we'll be spending once a week together as well while you're commuting or jogging or doing some housework. Anyway, today we will be having yet another interview. I truly hope that you will enjoy it. I hope it will be useful. I don't want to waste too much of your time. Let's just start straight away. Okay, well, hello everyone and welcome to the Brand Architect Podcast. Today we have someone who's coming over again. It feels like it's been ages since I had you over on the podcast. And back then I was in Armenia with a huge time difference. Now I'm in London and you're also doing lots of new things. So I thought it was a perfect time to bring you over. So I'm talking to Chandler. He's a best-selling author, multiple times best-selling author, and also the founder of Self-Publishing School. And you can check out his previous interview with me. I will link it in the show notes. But today we're going to have a different one, and you'll find out why when you listen to this one. So welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Great to be here.
As I mentioned, you've done loads of things over the time. And in the first interview, we covered about how you wrote the book, your first book, what it brought to you in terms of money, in terms of freedom, and, in terms of figuring out things that are so much nicer to do rather than work full time. So, so let's talk about what happened next. I'll take this as a follow-up interview.
For sure.
You had a bestseller out there. You had figured out how to simplify the process of writing the book, how to write it fast, how to launch it the right way, and how to market it. And eventually it became a bestseller. You ended up with many readers and passive income coming in. So what did it bring to you in terms of brand, in terms of your personal brand, people knowing Chandler Bolt as, and now I know that they don't know you as a writer only. So what was the process?
Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy time. I was trying to think. What the date was on the last time that we chatted. I want to say it was maybe even
about 2 years ago.
Okay, I thought so. 2015. And so since then I've published 4 more books. So we got to book number 6, published The Proven Path from Blank Page to Published Author, and so there's 2 sides kind of to your question, from a business perspective and from a brand perspective. So I think right about the time that we chatted, I had just basically pushed all the chips into the table. And I don't know if any of your listeners have experienced this, but where you say, hey, I had made some money off of my books, made some money off of my businesses, pretty much leveraged it all and dumped it all back into the business.
Okay.
And I like to use the poker analogy where I pushed all my chips in the table. And so in February of 2015, I had all of my bank accounts were negative, and I'd borrowed $15,000 from friends and family to launch Self-Publishing School. Now, the month before that, I launched my 4th book, which was called Book Launch, which really kind of just, that book's got I want to say 620 Amazon reviews now. It's been a huge success and it's brought a lot of business. But basically the path from that point was I went from all of my bank accounts negative to went from 0 in business to $1.32 million in the 11 months from the rest of 2015. We did about 2.2 in 2016. We're set to do at least 5, if not 6, this year in 2017. So for me, the books have totally been the cornerstone with which I've built my business. But then from a brand perspective, it's It's been the same thing. It's like my brand builds off of the books, and I'm very conscious to have the images. We've had the same graphic designer for every book that I've ever done, and she does all the graphics on our site. She does the graphics inside Self-Publishing School, so inside the course and the online program. And she does everything. She's unbelievable. And so I'm very conscious that everything has a look and feel. Like if you go to our site, self-publishingschool.com, you'll notice that it has a kind of like a polished but playful feel to it from a brand perspective. You'll notice that the same thing goes with our books. They have the same feel. It's always clean. It's like a minimalism Apple type design. And it's like a less is more. It's not in your face. And so I'm a firm believer that your books are an extension of your brand. And it is important to stay on brand. So everything from the covers to the images to even how we say things or how I say things in the book. It's very fun. It's more casual, and it's it's kind of like it's very pointed and not overly stifling and professional. So just from a brand perspective, I think it's really important. And my brand has also kind of been built off that cornerstone, which is my books.
Okay, well, interesting. So basically, what I'm coming up to, like, let's say you had the books out there. The fourth book, which you said had 600 something reviews, was doing relatively good, right, in terms of sales and all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So what made you decide to do something else apart from just writing books? Because like many writers just dream about only writing books and getting passive income out of that. And you apparently, wanted more and wanted to do something else. So how did that go? Why did you decide not to stop there and move forward, especially if it was such a difficult thing in terms of investment and risking so much?
Oh, for sure. That's such a great question. So for me, I don't really consider myself a writer. Which some people might hear that and say, well, that's crazy. You have 6 books. Writing's never something that's come easy to me. And it's not something that I just do for fun. It's not something I'm just like, all right, let's sit down today and write for 5 hours. Right. So although I enjoy it and although that I've learned to enjoy it, and that I do feel like it's the best medium with which not only to get my message across, but also it has longevity. Like my book here, it's like, this is going to be around for a long time after I'm off this earth. Whereas a lot of things that, we do on the internet may or may not be. It's a physical thing that you can hold in your hand. So just in terms of legacy, I feel like it makes a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, I'm a businessman. I love business. I love just everything about it. And it's so much fun to me. So for me, it was a natural switch and a natural kind of interweaving of those things, because the book was where I had some of my, not exactly my first, but some of my early business success was from the book. And so it just made sense to keep going with that. And so that's kind of why I decided to go the business route, because this is what's fun for me. And I feel like, I have a lot of big goals and dreams, and I feel like, talents and skills that I can make this world a better place. And it's just hard to do that in my eyes without having a business. A business is it's like a unit. It's a kind of a lever with which you can do a lot of good. You can, I'm able to provide a ton of jobs, give back to charity, things like that. And there's just a lot of big things that I want to do and have already done that wouldn't be possible if I didn't own a business. So I feel like it's kind of like it's the best use of my skills in that way.
Okay, I see that. So basically, you said that you were risking a lot, but on one hand, when you were founding the self-publishing school, it was for newbie writers who wanted to self-publish their first books mainly, right? It's like more or less that was your audience. And it was very much in line with your readership at that point, because your books were about that as well. They were helping with the same problem. So you did have the initial audience of potential clients for the self-publishing school. So you still didn't really start from scratch in that respect, right? So how easy was it to actually get who you had in terms of readers, because the challenge with writers is not always they have direct access to their readers. Not always they know who their readers are and they can approach them directly and talk to them directly, unless they write their next book, let's say.
Yeah.
So how did you approach that part? Because that might have been challenging in the beginning, right?
Yeah, you could certainly look at it and say that we had a built-in audience. One thing that I want to point out to people is like that was very intentional. So I think what gets underscored in all of this is that there's the business that I'm in is so competitive. Everyone who's ever written a book thinks that they can teach a course on how to write a book, whether they've been through my course and done it and now they want to teach a program on it, or whether they, anyone, you've got Jack Canfield who has a course, you've got Brian Tracy who has a course, and you got a million other courses out there on this topic. So it can be very hard to differentiate yourself. And so from a brand perspective, which I think the listeners here will really appreciate this, is like you have to make a decision about your brand identity and about who you're going to be. And so even what you were mentioning is like, oh, we had an audience of first-time authors, and that's because we decided to have an audience of first-time authors. I see so many people who they try to please everyone, and you end up pleasing nobody, right? It's like you just try to cast this wide net. So and the reason you do that is because it feels painful and restricting, and like you're going to alienate people when you kind of carve down to what. So, but for us, it's like, we say, hey, at Self-Publishing School, how can we help people the most? What is the target demographic that we can provide the absolute most value for as possible? Well, for us, as someone who's writing and publishing their first book, it's a nonfiction book, and they're using that book to grow their business. That is like our dream customer. So we just tighten down to that. And so even sometimes I'm like, I don't want to say how to write, market, and publish your first book, because I know that we've had people who have published 30 books and then they joined Self-Publishing School, wrote and published a book, and it was more successful than all 30 of their other books combined, right? So I know we have a lot of value for those people, but I've just found that those people will come, just like the bucket listers and the legacy people, the folks that are like, oh, I've always wanted to write a book. They'll still come, even if we say, hey, here, we teach you to write your first book to grow your business. Those people will still be attracted. Whereas if we tried to just say, if we just made it a writing course or something like that, then people would be confused and they wouldn't be interested. So I just think that's an important takeaway here is, yes, we had an audience of first-time authors, but it's because we chose to do that. So my question to listeners would be, what is that swimming pool for you that you're swimming in? What is that subset of the market that you're willing to commit to and know that you're going to piss some people off. You're going to, some people aren't going to like it, but you're willing to just turn away business so that you can better help the people that you are working with.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're always going to piss people off, especially once you get visibility and people see you and notice what you're doing. I mean, honestly, since we're pretty transparent, I'm going to tell this to you. So, apparently, I'm one of your affiliates promoting Self-Publishing School. So obviously, I used my social media networks to promote the thing which came out yesterday. So I was approached by someone from my friends list saying, "Do you realize that you're driving your people into a sales funnel?" And for me, it was like, I didn't see it that way. So, sales funnels, I understand that. But on the other hand, as you said, the audience that you're having, your potential audience, has always a choice to hop out of the sales funnel, right? So
for sure.
So it's definitely at the end, no matter how sophisticated you create the sales funnel to be, no matter how much money one spends in Facebook ads, if it's not something that will interest the people, if it's not something they want, they will always push that unsubscribe button and just leave. So there is always something much more, and I guess that is the thing that you mentioned, knowing your audience, knowing who you want to serve, knowing what the problem is. And if you're providing the solution, I don't think they will mind getting these emails. And if they do, they always have the choice to leave. So
for sure.
So yeah, pissing people off, it's always the option, but I guess it's just, if you piss some people off, it means they're not your audience, and
For sure.
it shouldn't really matter that much.
Yeah, definitely. Which is that part's easier said than done, right? I
I
remember the
know,
first time I got a negative review on a book, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is so horrible!" And then the first time I saw someone that just like publicly trashed self-publishing school, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I got so mad. And it's like hard not to get mad. But now I've kind of flipped my view on it, where if people aren't getting mad, that's usually a sign that I'm not taking enough risk. And then I'm not, if you don't have anyone that hates what you're doing, then chances are you're not doing anything worth talking about or worth noting. So
yeah.
if you're doing something of any significance, then you're obviously going to have people, just like that person approached you. I'm sure there's probably been 100 other people that have said that same thing about this launch that we're doing right now. And quite frankly, I don't care. And I'd love that they're saying that, because they're still talking about self-publishing school.
Yeah, but
So
bad publicity is still publicity, right?
yes, it is. That is right.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because, the interesting thing is that nailing down the right offer is very important, because the experience shows that very often you may be promoting someone else's product with your audience, and it works so much better than when you are promoting your own, which sort of means that you sort of screwed up something over there while you were creating your own product.
Right, yeah.
So being niche is very important in a sense that it helps you find out more about your potential customer and its needs and pain points and how to solve those. So definitely, I'm 100%. I agree with you that especially for the first-time authors, especially for those who need a nonfiction book to promote their business, that is a really good tool to have all the valuable and useful information already filtered, so they don't have to do the research so much. They don't have to try and make the same mistakes we all made in the beginning. So they can come there, save loads of time, and learn whatever they really need to learn for that first stage. So I guess it's a really good tool. So let's talk about the following. Very often we have online courses where we enroll. I mean, we have video on demand. We follow our own pace. We learn things. We take notes. We do our homework sometimes. And we implement stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It depends how much work you put into that. And that's it. So basically, we're not really involved with the person who created the course so much. But I know that self-publishing course is different. I know that you approach this as a community, and you are on constantly engaged with that audience. So why is that? Because I know that many people say that I want to create an online course and not a membership site specifically for that, because I don't want to create that. And it brings me passive income, and I don't want to get involved because I don't want to spend so much time. So why did you decide to have it like more as a community and a follow-up thing? And how well does it work?
Yeah, that's such a great question. There's two sides. So obviously there's the altruistic part of the decision, and then there's the business side part of the decision. The altruistic side and the purity of that decision is, I'm a firm believer that information doesn't change people's lives. It's the application of that information. And the biggest problem that I see with online courses is that people just buy them and don't do anything. They put it up on their self-esteem, right? They buy it and stick it up on the shelf, and it makes them feel better about themselves, but they don't actually get any lasting change. So I feel like, that just, if that's the business that I'm in, then I might as well not be in business. I can't peddle information that I know is not going to help people. And so I like to do everything in my power to make sure that people are actually using it. So I feel like that's a part of it. I know that for me, it's two things: accountability and one-on-one coaching. Those are the things that drive me to make use of the information that I come in contact with. And so we just built that into every aspect of the business and of the course. And because of that, our success rate, I haven't seen a course that has a higher success rate than ours. And it's been that way since the very beginning, because we're just dedicated to making sure that our students get through it and they have success. Now, obviously, the business side of that decision is if people have success, then they're going to feel good about their purchase and they're going to want to purchase other things from you. So it just makes good business sense as well, because they've had a good experience.
As well. I mean,
exactly.
They will tell others.
Our students refer other students into the program. There's word of mouth. It just makes sense. To me, it doesn't make sense to say, hey, here's your login. I'm going to try to get you to the refund period, and then please don't talk to me again.
Yeah.
like that doesn't really make much sense. And so for us, that's the reason why we did what we do, or why we do what we do. And also, there's an ongoing subscription for our mastermind community. I'm a firm believer that, that pisses some people off. They're like, oh, well, I'm in other free communities and I don't have to pay for that. It's like, okay, perfect. We'll go have fun in those free communities. This is not for you then. I mean, for us, it's not just a Facebook group. We have exclusive content. I get on and do a hangout every single week where I'm answering people's questions. It's like, it takes resources to provide that kind of support. It's the same reason why when you buy a piece of software that's a one-time fee, it almost always sucks or will suck at some point because they're not incentivized to keep updating it. Whereas I gladly pay software subscriptions because those people are incentivized to continually update that software. So for me, it's the same thing with our information. It's the same thing with our community. So that's why we decided to do what we do. And as a byproduct of that, you can't help but go into Amazon, and it's just a running joke in the community. It's like you go anywhere and you're going to see at least one person's book from self-publishing school. And I mean anywhere. Usually you'll see more. It's like you're clicking around and it's just full of people from self-publishing school because our students actually get results.
Okay, I see. So in terms of branding yourself, I know that, based on the emails I was getting and based on the information I know about you, I know that you have positioned yourself as a C- student who was not good in English, but nevertheless, he ended up becoming a best-selling author. So,
yes.
I was thinking about this, that maybe this was a risky thing to do in terms of stating that, because and in one hand, you may end up with C- students who can't write, who are attracted to the idea, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, it may have damaged your credibility in a sense.
Totally.
So how easy was it for you to decide and to actually use that statement as even part of your marketing communication?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was pretty easy for me to make that decision because it's just kind of who I am. Like I'm a what you see is what you get kind of guy. I don't like to put on a facade. And so for me, it's like, well, yeah, this is part of my story. And I think it certainly attracts a lot of people. And that's the part is, there's certain, and this is in studying marketing, there's certain storylines that will always resonate with people. Local boy makes good, hero versus Goliath, and it's just things like that. And so I knew that follows one of those story arcs. And so it's just kind of convenient. It's like, hey, look, this is not even a shtick. Like, I was a horrible writer and hated it and got horrible grades in all my English classes. I did well in every other class except for English. And so, this is part of my story. Now, on the other token, it's a little bit more polarizing. So I definitely catch some flack for it. And all you have to do is search the internet and you'll find some people just bashing me and some people instantly think because of that my books aren't good or that I'm advocating for not writing good books, which is I came into the industry at a time when everyone was just saying, oh, just hire a ghostwriter to throw together a piece of crap book and throw it on Amazon. Yeah, cheap. And I was like, no, don't do that. And I advocate against that. So if anything, I'm advocating for people to do quality books. And so that's kind of with every fiber of my being. That's what I believe in. But, some people hear the C English student and they just think that. And so then they just bash me but that's kind of just part of my brand is just that authenticity. So another example is, I think this was my fifth book. It's called How to Not Suck at Writing Your First Book. And so, even that's just, and even there, and I think I got a 1-star review maybe during launch week that someone said, this isn't even proper grammar in the title, How to Not Suck at Writing Your First Book. Because it should be how not to suck at writing your first book. I knew that, and I made that decision on purpose because I said, this is bad grammar, but this is a how-to book. It's not a how not to book.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I see
so there are certain decisions like that where I'm like, I just make the decision that I feel good about, and I know it's going to piss some people off, and that's perfectly fine.
Okay, so let's get to the brand identity. For personal brands, it's easy. Their name is their brand name, and it's pretty straightforward. In your case, we have Chandler Bolt's self-publishing school. I mean, we don't really say your name, but we all know that you are the founder. So we have these two, personal brand versus corporate, the company brand thing going together. And both of them are equally strong because, everyone has heard about self-publishing school. And at the same time, everyone knows that Chandler Bolt is standing behind it. Was this balance intentional or not? And how are you actually differentiating the two?
Yeah, it was definitely intentional, and I'm glad you asked because so many people in my industry, they just slap a name on it, and then you're taking that business to your grave. There's a lot of people I respect a whole lot, but they could never sell their business. They could never get away from it. Maybe you don't want to, but for me, I know that there is life after self-publishing school. I'm very young. I know that there's multiple businesses in my future, and so if I'm just to tie it to my name, it's like my business keeps evolving and I can't build a true asset that continues to grow. And because then if the brand is Chandler Bolt's school, it's like, oh, well, then if I start doing something over here, then I've got to shut this down so that I don't confuse people about what I'm doing over here. So that was very intentional because I just looked at what I saw as problems in the industry. And that was the case. So, I saw Digital Marketer do a really good job of this. It was Ryan Deiss, very heavy, but now it's Digital Marketer as a brand and as a company. I said, that's what I want to do. It's not the Chandler Bolt show. This is self-publishing school. I'm a prominent face. I'm the face of the company. But I know that I'm positioning other people in the company to where it used to be people came for me and that was it. So now I've got to do one-on-one coaching. I've got to, it's like I am the product, but now we've built up enough of a brand where it's like, no, it's a school and it's a company. And so I know that one day I can exit and the business can keep running and I'll have way smarter people than me running it. And they'll be doing big things and the people will be glad that I'm out of the business. Right. And but then also at the same time, I'm very intentional about building up my personal brand. That's why you'll see me on the Facebook ads waving and you'll see me there because I know that by building up my personal brand, that's very important because that's going to add value to my future companies and businesses.
Yeah.
So it's like, now I've got this email list of, a bunch of people. I've got a more recognizable figure, and I can parlay that in for either strategic investors, for business decisions, for customers. It's just it makes a lot of sense. So that was just a strategic decision that I made that I couldn't make and these are two of the people I respect most in this industry. So I'm not throwing their name under the bus, but it's like, Michael Hyatt, it's michaelhyatt.com. Ramit Sethi, it is I Will Teach You to Be Rich, but everyone knows it's Ramit Sethi, right? Those are the two people that I felt like they've done it as best as you can do it for this type of business. But the one decision I felt like they made wrong from the get-go was they made their name their personal brand. So that was something that I didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see. So I'm sure there's loads of things people can get out of the self-publishing school, but since I already caught you, when you basically they are gonna learn how to write, publish, and market their books. So if you have to recap and come up with the most important things that they have to address, just, briefly, several points that are like the pillars of the whole thing that, they need to learn, the most crucial, fundamental elements, what are those?
In terms of tactical how to
writing, publishing, and marketing their books. Like, I'm just a newbie. I haven't done it at all. What are the things that I have to concentrate on? What are the fundamental elements?
Yeah. So the first thing is deciding what you want to write about, and especially what the purpose is for your book. So I'm Simon Sinek. It starts with why. I love that, and that's the first place I start. Is why are you writing your book? What's the purpose of the book? Now, there's two different types of purposes. A lot of people go to, it's like with my book published, it's all about how to help someone write and publish a book. Well, that's the customer facing purpose. That's not what I'm interested in. That's very important, but I'm interested in what for you. Why are you writing the book? So, is that to grow your business? Is that to establish yourself as an authority? What is that? So it's obviously deciding what you're going to write about, why you're writing the book, then actually writing the draft, getting it published, and then marketing it successfully, which marketing it successfully starts by defining what success looks like. So if this is an authority play, and maybe you want to brand yourself as the best lawyer in your local town or the best real estate agent or whatever, then success means getting 2 local TV spots. And it doesn't have anything to do with how many books you sell. It just has to do with you branding yourself and getting yourself out there. If that's the case, then great. You cannot waste your time with a lot of things, and you can just focus your efforts on the PR side of things. So really just defining success, what that looks like for you and for your brand. And that's just really important. And that's kind of the final step to make sure that you don't just launch the book to crickets, that it's actually a success and it fulfills the business related goals that you have and the brand related goals that you have for yourself.
Okay. So, for those who we spoke that we are driving to sales funnels, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
Air quotes. I have created a short link. So it's anialexander.com/SPS. And let's say if they join the school later on, awesome. If no, they're still getting loads of free stuff. So can you tell what they will be getting? So if they go to anialexander.com/SPS, what they will get completely for free with no obligations?
Yeah, so there's some free video training. There's 3 videos. The first one talks about 3 steps to writing your book in a weekend. So how to write your book well and quickly. The second video talks about the 3 steps that you need to take to successfully launch your book. I also cover the 5 book launch screw-ups. So the mistakes that most people make that are just going to sabotage your book launch. And then the third video, I talk about 7 steps to a 6-figure book launch. So this is how to, 7 ways that you can leverage your book and turn that into a 6-figure income or a 7-figure business, just like I've done, just like many of my students have done. So it really, it shows you that. So it's 3 totally free videos. Obviously, I'm going to talk to you about self-publishing school. And if that's a fit, cool. If not, you've learned a bunch of good stuff. And so that's that. And then the last thing you'll get is a free copy of my book published. Which is a brand new book. It's got 170 reviews on Amazon. It's not a crappy ebook. It's a real book. And so you'll get a PDF copy of that as well.
Okay, so basically you get the free videos, you can read the book so you can check out about the good quality of the book, since we spoke about, that it's important and that's what they will learn, because very often we have this misconception that if you don't spend a year writing a book, it may not be good. So so you can check out the quality by yourself and seeing what it is and judge for yourself. So on alexander.com/SPS. And it was really nice to have you over once again. Thanks for the interview. It was nice to reconnect because, more successful people it's harder to catch them.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you again for having me back on. This was a really good time. And obviously we got to talk about some things at a totally different angle from what we talked about last time, which was good.
Okay, so that's all that I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed the interview. If you ever thought about writing and publishing your book, then definitely go ahead and get the free resources that Chandler is offering us, because it's really valuable. It will help you a lot. Go ahead and get them at anialexander.com/SPS. as to developing our relationship even further, as to becoming part of the Brand Architect community and learning more stuff, engaging more, watching my Facebook Live videos, and getting to know other people who also listen to the podcast and are connected together. Just go ahead and join our closed Facebook group at anialexander.com/Facebook. And I'm planning to have it very active. I'm planning to do loads of stuff over there. So anything that you can get by listening through a podcast, any further engagement, more information, sharing stuff, encouraging each other, and motivating each other, that is the place to be. anialexander.com/Facebook. Have an awesome weekend, and I will definitely meet you next week.